Hey, and welcome to Trail Trials, the video review section of iRunFar.com. My name is Travis Liles, and today we're going to take a look at the Peak II from Pearl Izumi. Pearl Izumi has made some significant strides in just the last couple of years in terms of trail and ultra running. You can see that with the formation of their really excellent trail and ultra running team that they have currently, as well as with their new iteration of shoes that really seem to have a specific focus on not just trail, but ultra running. They even call out on their website in some of their literature on their design of shoes of keeping you comfortable from 26.2 or up to 100 miles, which is not something you see all the time in terms of big name manufacturers of trail shoes. So we're really excited to see that. And with that, what we'll do is take a look at the Pearl Izumi Peak II. This is a complete rework of the previous Peak. So let's get up close and personal and take a look at what this shoe has to offer. The Pearl Izumi Peak II weighs in at just over 9.5 ounces in a men's size 9. Something to note is this shoe fits half to maybe 3/4 of a size small. This is a 9.5, and I would say that in my normal shoes I wear a 9, and I can probably go up to a 10 and still feel like this is right about where my other shoes fit. So just something to keep in mind. It has a 9mm drop with a 17mm heel and an 8mm toe. So definitely lower to the ground in terms of overall profile, and also with that 9mm drop you have something that's more along a racey type of feel, unless you're a super minimal type person, in which that may be a little taller than you're used to. So let's start off with the tread. The tread is obviously very trail specific. You have lots of small lugs across the entire shoe from toe all the way to heel. Multi-directional lugs up front, and as they move to the back you have the rear facing lugs so that you can break downhill, and you also have the lines here, which are pretty common on a lot of trail shoes that you'll find out there. In the middle of the shoe here you'll find a little bit of torsion control. So in terms of twist, the shoe is relatively flexible, so it's not overly stiff. It's definitely a lighter weight feel, and also flex, letting your foot have some movement. With the exception, of course, of in here in the midsole, which is added just for a little bit of rigidity, though not a lot. And I will note that myself, Brian from iRunFar, and some others have noted that on the left shoe, on this medial portion, that this does have a little more flex, maybe than what you're used to. So if you're not a 100% neutral runner, that's just something you're going to want to look out for. Alright, so let's move up into the front part of the shoe. In terms of a rock plate, you can see it through here. Just these two little spots is where that rock plate exists at. Now this does have a good feel, technical terrain, road. This is a nice, versatile shoe, but in terms of that rock plate, it's really just on the midfoot. So if you're a midfoot striker, this is going to be an ideal situation. Of course, throughout the rest of the shoe with this traction and tread, you do have a shoe that is very well suited for trail and performing on trail. So even though that rock plate does not extend the entire length of the shoe, you have some more plastic here in your arch and a pretty well cushioned heel, so you're not going to feel too much of that pushing through. On to the midsole. The midsole is a single density foam all the way around. So as you can see here, we have one single type of foam, with the exception of right here on the outside of the shoe, and then of course the inside of the shoe. But this foam is really not anything in terms of correcting your gait or anything like that. And actually it really looks just like kind of some color that they've added to it there. So single density foam, I'll point out on the back, on the heel, this is a very flat heel. So a lot of shoes that you'll see that are neutral have a slope towards the outside, meaning this side is built up more than the outside, so that if you're somebody that is again, not neutral, that will basically let your shoe or your foot land a little farther to the outside without having to put a post or anything like that in here. The shoe does just the opposite, and it actually rocks a little bit internal, causing for me, when I step into it, a bit of pronation just by standing in it. Of course, when you're running, you're going to feel less of that. but as a race goes on, something to look out for. So just know that this is a racier type of neutral shoe. Up into the midsole, or pardon me, the upper, this is where Pearl Izumi does a really awesome job. And what they do is they have this kind of whole seamless upper. And if you look around at this whole shoe, you'll notice that there's really not anywhere where there's a seam. They've added overlays here for some structural control, right? So you've got some of that up here for the laces and beside, and then down here on the foot to anchor in that bottom part of the foot, midfoot to the front of the foot. But the overall of this is a very mesh, light, airy feel to it. And on the inside of the shoe, which will be hard to see here, but on the inside of the shoe, you have a seamless upper, meaning that this is one of those shoes that you could probably wear without socks and more than likely get away with it. So not a lot of times can you do that with shoes, especially if they have a lot of seams. They've really done a great job of eliminating the seams, and that to me was the first thing I noticed when I put this shoe on, was really that excellent sockless type of feel, slipper like when you wear this. Continuing on with the upper, the tongue is kind of interesting on this. So the tongue does not have really much to it at all. Up here at the top, we have a little bit of fabric that is covered with kind of reinforced or there's just a bit of padding inside of this, though not very much. And then once it moves beyond that, what we have in this part of the shoe is really nothing more than more fabric. So you should be able to see my hand poking through there. And that is simply a piece of thin, elasticy type mesh that runs through the whole shoe. It has two connection points that go all the way down. So the tongue, instead of being free floating, is what I would call semi-gusseted. So it goes down to the side here and probably just about where my hand is. And then the same thing on this side. But this is not a fully gusseted tongue because it can, basically from about this little Colorado symbol here down is open. So you can get your finger in there, and which means you could probably get debris in there. The nice thing is it does splay out relatively well in terms of the tongue. So once your foot's in there, that's gonna move that up, but it's not gusseted all the way, which would have been nice to see. In terms of the lacing, this lacing is offset just a little bit, which you can see, so kind of back and forth, which means you're not going to have that one pressure point right on the top of your foot, so it does allow for some back and forth movement. I mentioned earlier about the sizing of the shoe, and I would say one of the reasons for that is when you look at this is a relatively low profile toe box. So because of that, that's where I noticed that I needed to size up just to get myself in one that was more comfortable. So this has a little narrower type of toe in it, but it does have a nice well-structured toe box here in the front. So very hard right here on the apex of the shoe, that's the outsole rolling up around, and then on both sides some more plastic or rubber placed upon there, which is going to give this nice, deflecting and that sort of thing for when you are kicking things. And then lastly, we'll hit up the collar here, and this is a fully structured heel here, so it's nice and padded. As you can see, you've got a good amount of padding throughout here. You've got the pull to get this on your foot, and then in terms of the heel cup, it is in there. It is hard in terms of having an actual structure to it. So in closing, the Peak II from Pearl Izumi is a great all-around shoe for somebody that is more neutral, looking for a lightweight, racy feel trainer that they could wear every day because of the amount of cushioning and the type of feel that this has, or if you're someone looking to get into that lower profile, more neutral type of shoe, this is a great stepping stone to get you there. So, as always, any questions or comments, please leave those below the video. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.